Hello. I am delighted to be here to talk about message banking process. Richard, I won't get my water on your computer. And the updated process and considerations. I think that all of us here would agree now that our voice is our acoustical fingerprint. It is a representation of who we are, and it is something that we really feel is an important part of our expression. The power of personal voice. We hear someone, we pick up the phone and someone says, "Hi, it's me," and you immediately recognize not only who the person is, but everything about that relationship. The good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, etc. It all comes with just hearing that. The power of personal voice. The role of familiar voice. Not only is it important for us to have our own voice, but it's important for the people around us to hear our voice. If I had more time, and I don't, because Sarah Feldman told me I do not, and I'm afraid of Sarah. So if I had more time, I would be able to show you countless videos, not only of people, but even animals responding to personal voice. And I think over the years that we've been talking about this now, many people recognize that. There are physiological impacts. So there was research done in 2010 that highlighted that when a daughter heard her mother's voice, there were physiological changes to oxytocin, neurohormones, in that daughter that were similar to when their mother embraced them. So we know that voice is really important. I am so thrilled that in 2016, I got to first introduce the whole concept of message banking. It feels like that was a very long time ago in lots of ways, but at this conference in Ireland, introduced the concept of message banking. And I have to tell you, at that time, there were some people, some kind of prominent people in this field who said, "I don't think that's something that people with ALS will want to do. I don't think people will want to take the time to do that or will embrace that." And now it is broadly something that is used and adopted nationally in the United States and internationally. Until recently, the best outcomes for message banking have required using a handheld recorder, because we've had very specific stipulations for how to get the very best recordings. And for those of you who may not immediately remember, message banking is capturing entire phrases or sentences that are then able to be presented, used in an augmentative communication system exactly as you intend for them to be heard. So the difference between using a synthetic voice that currently, if I wanted to say, "I'm so proud of you," even if it sounds a lot like me, currently will sound more like, "I'm so proud of you," as opposed to a banked message, "I'm so proud of you." So, we are able to capture so many of those messages, and for a long time have needed a high-fidelity tool. I also want to point out that when we first introduced the concept of message banking and all of us started to embrace it, it became something that lots of people in the augmentative communication world, many technology companies, embraced as well. But they did it a little bit differently than intended. They did it from the perspective of, well, we're going to build in the ability for you to record into the device. And while that is nice, it kind of ignores the fact that a good feature match process, a good selection of the best tool and technology, if someone ever needs it, is done when someone needs it. Because you don't know what features you really need until you need it. And so if you get a device ahead of time and start recording messages into it, you may actually be someone who has a technology that, if you need it, it's not the right match. Or we've had many people who actually, they have technology and it's no longer supported in the market. So while it's great, it's been embraced that way, the authentic capture proactively messages is something we've really tried to focus on. It's intended to be technology agnostic. It's not done to a specific tool, but it's intended to make sure you have all options available to you if you ever need it. It's intended to create an insurance policy. We all understand an insurance policy. We want to have it. We hope we never need to collect on it, but we're comfortable it's there. And hopefully, we're wasting people's time asking them to capture messages, but at least it's there and someone's comforted by it. And finally, the goal is, and our mantra is, least amount of effort, time, and energy for the highest quality of outcome. So in 2017, because lots of people talked about there's a lot of work that goes into managing these files, I was so fortunate through the ALS Association and the Prize for Life to receive a grant to be able to create mymessagebanking.com, which is a free site that allows people to upload messages, have them fully transcribed. Now transcribed in 2018, we expanded into multiple languages, as you see here, so that they can all be in that system at the same time. Most of the developers of communication devices changed their software so that it could connect to this site and auto-download the messages, the voice, the text, create the pages, etc. So a lot of the manual work is done. And as you can see, it's also in multiple languages. Here is just demonstrating how we have used it in Italian. In 2019, introduced the concept of double dipping. Double dipping is really intended to use those banked messages. Remember, make sure that we get the most out of someone's energies and efforts. Use those banked messages to also create a synthetic voice. And so that's something that thankfully now many companies have started to do. It started with Acapella, and Acapella actually created and partnered with funding sources around the world to make sure that people can have their voice and not have to pay for it if they can access one of these funding sources. There's also the ability to request double dipping from Speak Unique and VoiceKeeper, and more Model Talker has indicated that they're willing to do it. In 2022, however, we really wanted to look at how can we, in fact, for a long time we've looked at how can we make this easier? How can someone not have to have that handheld recorder? And how can someone bank messages at will whenever? And we repeatedly were looking at apps and trying to figure out what the best apps were. And you might say, well, gosh, John, there are so many apps that let you do recording. But the important piece was that it was seamless and easy, that we could record in .wav file format, that it didn't require many steps to manage it, and that I could seamlessly tell it, or fairly seamlessly tell it, now auto-upload that to mymessagebank.com so it can sit there, be transcribed, and then be imported into a communication device. So we have come up with a way to do that, and also have detailed, because many people have said, you know, what is the clinical process? So Martine Smith from Dublin, Ireland, and I detailed in this article in 2022 the entire model, and I don't have time to go into it, but if you're interested, the article is available, and really kind of went through the whole clinical, the breakdown of how message banking is introduced, and how then the concept of turning that into a voice banking option can also be introduced. The unmet goal, we want to use readily available technology. We don't want someone to have that Zoom recorder, and we want it to be able to be fully managed in mymessagebanking.com. So after looking at many different apps and trying to find something that would work fairly seamlessly, we identified a free app, the AVRX, and I thought it was going to be a very technical name to it that stood for, but it was the Awesome Voice Recorder app is the name of it, that one can use. And Go ahead, move forward.
This video review will cover how to complete message banking and upload to your mymessagebanking.com account, all on your iPhone. And we're going to...
This is a compilation of a much longer video that shows you all of the steps at this QR code.
AVRX voice recorder. To set the stage, when you are using the recorder, you'll hold the phone up to 6 inches away. Now tap here so you can go back. And now you're ready to start recording until you've recorded all of the messages you wish to do. But we want to create a folder specifically for your banked messages. To do that, so let's look at the actual upload to mymessagebanking.com. In order to allow you to now go to your browser, and when you've selected all that you wish to upload, tap open. You'll then see those messages appear in the screen. It will begin transcribing those and open your mymessagebanking.com account so you can listen to those recordings there.
And again, I would have shown you the whole video, but Sarah told me I couldn't. So at that QR code, you have access to that video. Now, like everything, technology is constantly changing and getting better. So I will tell you there are a whole lot of things that I wish that we could do better right now. I wish it was not just an iOS app. We've looked at multiple applications and we keep running into there being so many steps that when we have tried to do it, and I should mention the video that was put together, several people living with ALS who are going through the process with me helped me create the video. So I originally created steps, and then people said, oh, you need to include this step, this step. When I went home from your office, I forgot that you told me how to do this. So it's quite detailed. And when I've tried to do that with other apps, people have told us, it's too much work, it's too complicated. So we're working on it. It's not ruled out, but this is a start. So what we want to be able to do is continue to use banked messages to double dip. Because, of course, not only having those recordings is important, but then being able to say anything you want when you want to say it in a voice that approximates your natural voice is critical. So this whole idea of double dipping remains key. And while currently, as I've pointed out, you can double dip with several strategies. There are a couple of options. So most recently, Apple, as you know, has come out with the ability to create your own voice. And so I will show you this very quick video where I was able to use all my recordings from my Apple, to create my Apple voice, and then actually export those and create an a cappella voice, because not everyone is going to have an iOS product be the best feature match. And currently the Apple voice, and for the foreseeable future, the Apple voice will only work on an iOS product. There are phenomenal iOS augmentative communication options, but one should not be locked into a technology. Remember, technology agnostic. So with this process, we can export those and then create a voice in presumably all of the voice banking options. I've been able to do it rather seamlessly with a cappella. If we could run that video, it's not running for me. This is where I get to say, hit it, guys.
So now that my voice has been created with Apple, I want to download all of my audio recordings and use those to essentially double dip. I want to see if I can use them to create a voice with a cappella so that I have a voice product that will work on non-iOS products. So I'm going to go to my settings. I will go down to accessibility, which I just missed. There it is. I'm going to then go down to personal voice. I will touch my voice. I'm going to now tell it to export voice recordings. And I'm going to airdrop them to myself. Okay, I have now transferred my Apple recordings from my phone to my computer via AirDrop. I then created a new My Own Voice a cappella account, had it approved through a funding source, and so I'm now in my account. If I tell it I want to use my own recordings, I can see, here's my name, my recordings are in English. The voice banking format is not from mymessagebanking.com. It is from Apple.
So they built in
I'm going
Apple
to now
download.
go and choose files. As you see, it says only zip files. Choose file. Go to my desktop. Here is my recording. Open that, agree, and upload.
And then this goes through, it uploads, and when it's done, it just tells me that it's sent to create the voice. So can we use message banking? Can we actually double dip? So I have very fortunately been able to talk with folks from Apple a number of times, talk with their engineers about what's great about what they've done, what we hope will be better to serve a broader need. And so I took it upon myself to try to double dip. Don't get excited. It is not great, but I want you to see this process. If you could run this video, please. It's 1 minute. I'm creating a personal voice with my iPhone. So I'm going to record my own messages. My name is John. Please don't hang up the phone. It will take me a minute to respond. So that's their prompt, and in my typical way, I ignored the rules. I liked Dan Harris's book. Do they have an audio version of that as well? So now let's compare my original Apple voice, and I'm using this in a text-to-speech app where I could easily just upload it on my phone. This is the voice when I follow the rules. Okay. So now I'm going to go to my voice settings again. And I'm going to select voice. This time I'm going to select John's own phrases voice. I know that I have to have it incredibly slow, so I'm going to turn the speech rate down here. And now, so clearly trying to use custom phrases currently is an epic fail. Epic fail. But first, we can use message banking in a new way. We can double dip. We can create voice with Apple, and they are listening. I have no idea what to expect, but I got an email last night from Apple saying when you get home, there will be a package at your house. I'm hoping it's going to be a brand new tool that's going to let me do what I want. I don't think so, but so there is hope moving forward, and things have come a long way since we introduced this at this conference in 2016. And the bottom line is everybody can message bank, and it is free. The management of it is free. And once those messages are there, they are then available for you to hopefully be able to use in a voice bank process of some sort. Nobody should not be able to preserve their voice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for following the rules. I also am very impressed with how far everything has been moving forward, and just keep looking forward to more. I know there is one question online.
This is from Salma in Queensland, motor neuron disease. Is there a way to take the custom phrases used during the voice banking process and download them into message banking instead? In my experience, clients find it difficult, daunting to complete the 550 phrases to complete double dipping.
So great question, and there are a couple of answers that should be embedded in there. First of all, if you're doing the prompts to voice bank that the companies require, as you just saw a few of them, They're not things that you would typically be saying. They are sentences that have been selected to identify the co-articulated sounds in language that are needed, that then can be supported through the use of artificial intelligence to be able to come up with a voice that sounds more like you. So while you could export your recordings, and many of the companies allow you to take your voice bank recordings and export them, they are not something I've encountered anyone has found to be useful. The 550 is really important also to point out, because while 550 is sort of the base number of messages that is expected in order to double dip, the real key is they have to be super, super high quality. If you have fewer than 550, I would absolutely encourage you to submit those and ask for a special dispensation, but know that if they are not good quality, you're not going to get a good outcome. But many people have really high quality in their first 100, and at the risk of having my hand slapped for saying this out loud on a microphone, a voice can be created with that.
I don't actually think we have time to take any questions, but John will be here, so find him.